Nintendo finally dropped their Direct last week, and we've got a Nindy Spring Showcase on the horizon, but there still are more games getting made available for Nintendo Switch, and today we're telling you about 8 new ones, and one that isn't coming as well. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. Gabe is here, and 8 is great. It's the number 8, and we have a list. There are 5 games that are brand new announcements, 3 games with now specific dates and details, and 1 game that we really think should have happened but isn't, and it's kind of interesting. Gabe, let's kick it off with the brand new announcements.
Alright, so we are going to start off here with an online co-op first-person game. It's a shooter called Rico. It honestly looks kind of cool. It looks like you throw a little bit of Borderlands and a little bit of Payday into a blender. You hit the button, and this is the game that comes out. It has procedurally generated levels, as well as daily challenges, and it honestly looks kind of fun.
Yeah, I don't know what the price is going to be. It is a multi-platform release on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and our beloved Switch. It looks cool in that it has randomly generated cases, operations, environments, and you are competing against the clock. There's unlockable weapons, traits, and mission types. It actually looks pretty well thought out and pretty fully featured. I know it's not like a campaign-driven game, but the fact that they have, like you mentioned, dailies, as well as like the whole procedurally generated thing, that there is online co-op and offline co-op, very cool. And if you don't know, RICO stands for the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. They have to be careful, though, because this is the song that started the controversy between Drake and Meek Mill. So, Gabe, hopefully this game doesn't start no beef between you and I.
It probably won't. But yes, if shooting things isn't your style, maybe you want to play a Zelda-like game called Decay of Logos, which is also coming to every platform this year. A lot of multi-platform releases that are coming from third parties, so the support is strong, and the trailer looks kind of funky as well. This is another one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on, because as you know, Zach, I really love Zelda, and this gives me a feeling of, just art style-wise, Firewatch. It kind of looks like that. There's some very beautiful sunsets and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a very, very pretty game. You could also bring about a little bit of Witness kind of vibe to it. But this one is obviously combat character driven. It looks pretty cool. Rising Star Games is just all over the place. They are publishing Rico. They are publishing Decay of Logos. They previously did 88 Heroes and SteamWorld Dig 2, so they have definite experience on the Switch. And there is no date except fall, but even a little Dark Souls may be in here. So it's a big world, an interconnected world with lots of secrets to discover, and the combat is supposed to be deadly and punishing. So this one, actually, again, 2 for 2. We tried to really find games that were a little bit more fun than just the mobile port fare. So Rico and Decay of Logos are 2 to keep your eyes on.
Yes, one last thing about Decay of Logos, though. It has admiration and passion for European folklore, high fantasy action, and archetypal classic third-person action RPGs. So this is definitely one I'm going to be keeping my eye on.
Gabe, you may have to keep your eyes open for a long time, but you should probably keep your eyes on the Narcos video game that has been announced for spring 2019. Now, this is based off of the hit TV show.
Netflix.
I have no idea what the heck they're going to do with this, but it's coming to all major platforms, including Switch, and it is coming from Curve Digital, who recently found a lot of success with Human Fall Flat, clearing 3 million sales. Congrats to them. But they say, the head of the studio says, "We're looking forward to creating a game that matches the fantastic storyline and gritty action of the Netflix series. We're tremendously excited and have some amazing gameplay elements in the works that will please both fans of the show and gamers."
This leaves me scratching my head. I've actually watched Narcos. It's a show that I do enjoy. I have no idea how you translate that into a video game. So, I mean, spring 2019, quite some time away. But I'm very curious what happens with this.
Yeah, a lot of people were surprised that it wasn't like a Telltale joint. But I wonder if Curve is going to take a similar route. Sort of like a choose your own adventure, very story-driven type thing. We'll have to see. We'll also have to see how V-Rally 4 turns out when it hits, again, all major platforms later this year. You can rally from Africa to Sequoia Park in Japan, travel the world along difficult tracks and in extreme conditions such as snow, ice, and mud. 50 cars. It is a continuation of the popular series, initially launched on PlayStation 1, and now they are bringing the frenetic racing action to your Switch.
Continuing with the multi-platform releases, later in 2018 we are going to get Planet Alpha on Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 as well as PC. It doesn't have a physical release date confirmed quite yet, but Team 17, who brought out the copies of Yooka-Laylee, might be looking into this one. It also looks kind of cool. This is one that is probably for younger audiences based off the trailer alone. It's very bright, a little bit whimsical, but it's side-scrolling.
It definitely is colorful, but I almost get, I still get kind of like a mature vibe from it. And I don't mean mature like, oh, it's going to talk about the deepest emotions of humanity, but it has just like almost like an exploratory feel. And I guess you could associate that with the younger audience, but to me, it kind of just has, I don't know, like it very much reminds me of, what's that movie with Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne? The planets.
Valerian.
Valerian. It reminds me of Valerian. And I didn't see Valerian. I saw the trailer for Valerian, and that's what this reminds me of. But it looks kind of cool. There's some big leaps. It's always difficult to tell if a game like this is going to feel just like a runner, or if it's going to evolve beyond that into something more along the lines of like Limbo or Inside. We don't really know if there's any puzzle solving. They're calling it an atmospheric platform adventure, but it's been in development for over 4 years, and that may be why it looks so darn cool. So we will have to wait and see. Again, hitting all platforms, so that's a lot of good gets here for Switch, in that they are getting, in theory, a lot of day and dates, which is nice. And one of the first day and dates they are getting is Tennis World Tour. Now, I think they waited for Mario Tennis Aces. I could be wrong, but I think they waited for Mario Tennis Aces release date to get out ahead, because Mario Tennis Aces, as we know, is coming June 22nd, and now Tennis World Tour is hitting May 22nd, a full month before it. It will be out on major platforms, including your Switch. It is obviously the realistic tennis take as opposed to the Mario Tennis take. It has, actual players and pros. It looks pretty good. The developer is Breakpoint, which includes a lot of veterans from the Topspin series, if you remember that from back in the day. That was one of the first games I got in the original Xbox. I don't think that I would recommend this over Mario Tennis Aces, just because Mario Tennis Aces looks so darn cool, and, it seems like it has a ton of features. But if you are looking for a more realistic tennis game, I mean, they got mocap and everything, so they definitely are putting a lot of effort behind this one. And like I said, all platforms, day and date, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe you need to satiate that hunger for a tennis game on Switch, and this will do it for you.
Or just, Gabe, you could just practice for a month so that eventually you can compete with me.
All right. Yeah, Zach is a tennis pro, apparently, that I don't know about. He is good at tennis, I guess, so.
All right. This one I've been waiting for a while, and we get the date. The box art looks absolutely bananas, and it's also May 22nd. Nicholas is bringing Commander Video home to the Switch. Runner 3 is hitting in the month of May. It looks so darn cool. I'm really excited. Charles Martinet is the narrator, so there is some level of crossover here. It just looks absolutely awesome, and some of the different art styles in some of the side levels or side secrets or whatever you want to call them looks amazing. The physical edition has a full color instruction booklet, a 3-inch audio CD soundtrack sampler, and a PVC character strap that lights up.
Yeah, I mean, and there's something to be said with the exclusivity of the game on Nintendo Switch. That's actually something that I kind of look forward to, just because it makes Switch a platform that's kind of must-known if enough of these very cool games come to it.
Absolutely, and when your press release includes the line, "You'll ride creatures and vehicles, including a minecart, a giant grub, and a flying eggplant," I mean, I am in. I am in for the win, and we'll also be in on Valkyria Chronicles 4 this fall, October 16th, 2018. They announced a fall release window, but Amazon is listing an October 16th date for all platforms. Again, a nice day and date get for the Switch. I loved Valkyria 1. I haven't been as big of a fan of some of the offshoots. I think the mainline series, though, is pretty darn sound, and this one is going to add a really nice strategy, RPG, shootery thing to Switch in the fall. And I am definitely looking forward to it.
I've actually been waiting for the demo, because the demo did release on PlayStation 4. I want to check this out to see if it is true Valkyria. It does seem to be by all accounts. So, if it is more akin to the original and not the offshoots, then I'm all in as well.
Yeah, the art style is really cool. It should look really good on Switch in theory. And I am pretty pumped to hopefully play this at the Sega booth at E3. We won't be playing something else from Sega, though, and it's an odd one, and it makes us wonder about Virtual Console, because the Sega Genesis Classics Collection was recently announced for PS4 and Xbox One, but not Switch. It's over 50 games, including things like Sonic, Shining Force, Virtua Fighter, Phantasy Star, Streets of Rage, and not on Switch. Now, there already is a similar collection on PC, but this one is a new updated compilation. Why it's not coming to Switch, even though we got Sonic Forces, we got Sonic Mania, it's a little bit of an oddball game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you touched on Virtual Console a little bit. Could this signify that maybe Virtual Console's coming and they want to sell you guys these games separately? I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but, here's a little known fact, Zach. I actually like these compilations of Sega games that they've done throughout the history of gaming. I remember a couple other ones from, Xbox era, and I always have a really good time with them. I enjoy going back and playing some of these games from my childhood, so I'm kind of bummed it's not on Switch.
Yeah, I remember picking up one on PSP, actually, back in the day. I had this, insane itch to, experience the Sega generation of gaming, because it's something I skipped out on being a Super Nintendo fan. And I don't think in any way we get a Genesis Virtual Console, but I do wonder if there's some just weirdness with a collection of all these games when Nintendo is pretty committed to selling, the Neo Geo stuff individually, if that... It could be as simple as it just wasn't planned for Switch, but I do wonder if there's some behind-the-scenes posturing of, hey, 50 games for one price, doesn't really line up with what Nintendo's trying to do. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, we sure as heck hope to get Virtual Console details at E3, but you will not be playing the Sega Genesis Collection on your Switch on May 29th. But that's okay, because there's a lot of cool stuff. To recap, we've got Rico, this really cool procedurally generated co-op shooter with dailies and upgrades and just a nice Borderlands meets Payday style. The Zelda-like Decay of Logos hitting later this fall. Narcos doing something with games coming spring 2019. V-Rally 4 bringing more racing action to the Switch. Planet Alpha delivering a very vibrant and sci-fi world for a platform adventure game. And then you got Tennis World Tour hitting a month exactly before Mario Tennis Aces. Runner 3 with Charles Martinet coming exclusively on that same date. And then Valkyria hitting October 16th. Let us know which of these games you are most excited for in the comments down below. I feel like it's a really strong list, one of the strongest lists that we have seen, and it's exciting because as we lead up to E3, it feels like things are starting to come together for the Switch Year 2, and that is really great. So let us know your take in the comments down below. Until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from new Switch games announcements and from the new Switch games themselves once they hit. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/theswitchforce. Check out our Discord, link in the description. A lot of fun and fine folks over there hanging out, doing the Nintendo dance. And until next time, Switch Force out.